July 4th, 2015. I was in the military, in the Marines, killing the British for Harry Potter. Yep, that's me. The enemy's everywhere since the book wars has started, so I had to be extra careful.
How we doing, boss? Doug man. Very unexpected surprise to come here. Say, where's your partner? Captain Undies? Wait, you seriously worried about him? I almost just died to another book rival. But Captain Underpants, he just went off. I don't know what happened to him. But don't you forget about him, boy. You boys have been in the book industry for years. You can't just leave him out. He's your friend. Remember back where the radioactive Robo-Boxers was written? His franchise is starting to die. Matter of fact, I must have heard that his father, Dave, almost died of a heart attack because of that radioactive Robo-Boxer book. You gotta be there for him, man. But sir, everywhere we go, he's just gonna cause shit. And shit is gonna go down if he wanders off to God knows where. Looky here, dog man. That older book series, he's been through so much. And he was born in the 90s. And he's older than you, and his franchise is dying. And you gotta be there for him and take care of him. He's your brother. You were born in the series with him. You know, there's a saying that goes, every soldier you see is your brother. That's your brother, and you go take care of him. Is that true, right? Yes, sir! Oh, shit. On second thought, why don't you go find him? We'll take care of him here. On second thought, yeah, that's true.
Mr. Potter, come in. Okay, Mr. Potter, you will go and defeat those filthy bookmen. You got that? Is that clear?
Got it, mate. Ha ha ha. We are better than those Dave Pilkey series people, whatever they are. Wait, hold up. Wait a second. Dumbledore.
Yes, what is it?
Isn't it gonna be obvious that we're gonna be friends with them in 2026?
Fuck no, it's 2015. Why you say that?
Well, it's because we're apparently in the middle of a battle, and I feel like something's gonna go on that's gonna involve something quite strange and quite cringe. If the word is pronouncing.
Well, then our book franchise is fucked.
Okay.
For a while, I was getting scared I might never find Captain Underpants.
Come on, you big stupid bald guy in your underwears. Where are you? Captain Underpants! Captain Underpants! Balls morta! Freeze! Don't move! Please. Don't do anything stupid. Who are you? What do you want?
Kill the spy!
Avada Kedavra! No! Undies! Hey! Oh my God, I thought you were lost. Of course, man. You're my dog man in crime. Well, in that case, you're my... Oh God, oh God. No, 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 no! It's okay, Captain. You're safe. Goosebumps? This was Dogman. What the hell was that?
Oh, that was the fireworks. It's the 4th of July.
Well, tell them not to do that again. I got a wounded soldier here.
Listen, dude, it's the 4th of July. Handle it
God
yourself.
damn it. Wait, Dogman, don't. Stop. Check my backpack, please. Just check my backpack, please. There's something I need you to see. Oh my God. This is your last novel? This is 12 epic novel. This is your last epic novel? Will you write today for me? Of course. Tell him I wasn't scared. And that I love him. Of course, I'll do it. Captain.
That was the last time I ever talked to Captain Underpants. He was my very best friend. But instead, he died right there in 2015 on July 4th.
What? You thought I was just gonna leave the channel behind and read 2 weeks worth of Captain Underpants books? Yes, but no, I am better than that, damn it. Okay, let's just get to the part. So, yes, I'm going to be reading 2 weeks of Captain Underpants books. Now, all I need to do is just find out how much it is. Are you kidding me? $99.90? You know what? Fuck it. I'll just go to Barnes & Noble. I can't believe I have to go all the way to Barnes & Noble just because some of these books are $90 or also $100. Are you kidding me? Whatever. At least it's 4th of July.
The world is very different now.
If you were asked to give
For man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. And yet the same revolutionary belief for which our forebears fought are still an issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God.
Happy 4th of July, America! I'm just saying that I'm proud to say that I'm gay. Happy 4th of July, LGBTQ America! Dude, can you shut up? My friend died here, and you're gonna say it like that? What's wrong with you? Shh! Quiet and shut the fuck up, man. I'm trying to say that I'm coming out in front of all of these veterans. And BFK is a dumbass. Okay, you came out. Congratulations. But still, you should not be disrespecting the veterans on this day. One of my brothers died on that day. And plus, you don't say that about BFK. He's our president. He's doing his best. BFK doesn't know shit about the LGBTQ. We're sensitive. If I could be a woman, I can be a woman. If I could be pansexual, I become pansexual. If he doesn't like any of that, he's gay phobic, or he's lesbian phobic, or panphobic. I can also be bisexual. I can be any sexuality that I want. You're just straight and you're boring and you have a small dick for a size. But you gotta understand, Independence Day is not about people being independent and literally coming out as gay or any of those sexualities. It's about gaining our independence from those who try to kill us and hurt us and take away our own freedom. LGBTQ is not with Independence Day. And Independence Day is not about LGBTQ. It's about all of us as a country coming together as one. Stop making it so sensitive. And even you're probably one of those guys who come from Twitter. Oh, fuck you, man. You don't know anything about LGBTQ. You don't know anything about suffering. Us LGBTQ people are suffering. You got that? All right? In fact, if you were LGBTQ, you wouldn't know what it's like to suffer. Suffering? Suffering? You're so lucky I don't pull a gun out and shoot your stupid ass. You don't know anything about suffering. You think suffering is about insecurity? No. I joined a war because I needed to give everything I had up for freedom. So you should shut your ass up and appreciate those who gave their lives for your freedom and our freedom and everyone. You know what? Nope, never mind. Nope, never mind. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with you. You're impossible to be around. Why don't you just take a moment and appreciate our fallen soldiers and appreciate those who served and survived? Boom! I just recorded your ass. Now I'm gonna send the post on Twitter. Don't you forget it, bro. We're LGBTQ. I'm the spirit of the 4th of July. I'm the spirit, not you. Us LGBTQ are the founding fathers. So fuck you. Ha! I got him. I'm gonna post your ass on Twitter. Huh. I was expecting it to be a larger library. Oh well. That can't be that much. Besides, who knows how long it's gonna take. I guess I should start with the first one.
2 weeks later.
Oh, I did it. It has been 2 weeks, and I've read almost every single Captain Underpants books. And, oh my God, was it ridiculous? Yes. Was it really good? Of course it was. I mean, these were the books that I used to read as a kid. But guess what I'm going to be doing now? I'm going to be doing the countdown of the top 12 Captain Underpants books in the original series. Starting from the worst to the best. And the number 1 and number 2. So, let's get right into here. Also, just want to clarify that these are my opinions, okay? These are based on my opinions. So, if you guys want to have your own opinions and say whatever, book was in the original series, the best one or the worst one, that's perfectly fine. I'd like to know your opinions in the comments. Number 12. Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy Part 2. Now, when I first read this book, I felt kind of bored of the whole Melvin situation because Part 1 I liked because it was a fresh take. It took place with Melvin and it focused around Melvin. Part 2, it was a little bit of a disappointment because they kept going with the Robo Boogers that were parts of the with the endoskeleton that was going to be originally combined to Melvin, but then the Combinatron 2000 reversed it. It was just sort of a letdown, and it really wasn't that interesting. But nonetheless, it did kind of disappoint me, but I realized just how much of a dick Melvin is. Melvin is self-centered. Yes, he's involved in the book, and he kind of works with them, but apparently he got switched with his body around, and now became Mr. Krupp, and things got pretty hefty, I would say. He takes over the school and tries to act like Mr. Krupp so he doesn't get caught as Melvin. But then, once they're switched around, Melvin has Captain Underpants powers, and he's trying to be the world's first superhero boy instead of a bionic boy. Which, I get that he wants to do that, but he's just so selfish and rude too, actually. But nonetheless, I get where he's coming from, but he didn't have to try to kill anyone. Otherwise, he would just, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's probably part 2 and the moral of the story. And I'm glad that Melvin was taken out of the story after part 2. Also, why do they gotta put part 1 and part 2 of the Bionic Booger Boy? You could have done just random other stuff. But then part 2 introduced us to time traveling, which time traveling was going to be a very important thing in the franchise because this series turns from a superhero franchise into a Back to the Future franchise. So this was probably the weakest one. I didn't really like the Robo Boogers, but Their names were pretty much forgettable. I think it was Carl, Trixie, and Frankenbooger. I don't really like those names. But on to number 11. Number 11. Captain Underpants and the Revolting Revenge of the Radioactive Robo-Boxers. I didn't really like this book. This book was just a little disappointing, but the one thing I did like was that it was a sequel to the Tippy Tinkle Trousers thing, and what I liked was that he was trying to, send himself back in time to find out where George and Harold went and Captain Underpants went. But it got a little confusing in the 10th novel because there were 3 versions of Tippy Tinkle Trousers. The original, his small version, and his even smaller version. And I think the even smaller version was the final Tippy Tinkle Trousers, who was sent to the end of time, but also confirmed that Crackers and Sulu had died in the 10th book, or so we think. And then we get introduced to Melvin again, the alien, which I find from the other book, The Toy Bertola 2000, which we're going to get to later on. But I find the book to be quite disappointing. I was a little tired of the whole Tippy Tinkle Trousers thing. I wanted to go into something different, something new, something better than Professor Poopy Pants / Tippy Tinkle Trousers. Also, we're going to get into the backstory of Tippy Tinkle Trousers in a bit. So, the whole caveman plot thing was just a little bit bad. It didn't serve no purpose. They tried to have the cavemen say, no, you should not run, you should not hide, you should fight for your freedom. That's what they tried to do, but I just find the whole thing to be quite boring. And I almost quit it. The 10th novel made me almost quit the Captain Underpants series immediately. That's how bad it was. It was just not good. But moving on to number 10. Number 10. Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Burger Boy, Part 1. Now, yes, this is also the Part 1 of the Bionic Booger Boy. And what I find to be quite interesting is that they gave Melvin character. This thinking, I was kind of on Melvin's side when he was saying that the guys were immature doing squishies in the school. Which also, in Part 2, they defeat the Robo-Boogers with the squishies. Hey, at least they made an appearance. But what Melvin wanted more than anything was to be better than everyone else. So he wanted to become the first world's Bionic Boy by combining himself in an endoskeleton. He first did that on Sulu, his pet hamster, which Sulu turns into a bionic hamster, which now I get why. And now he wants to combine himself in a bionic boy. But he was allergic to cats. And so that's why he sneezed so much that he turned into the bionic booger boy. But what was kind of not disappointing or anything, but it just felt a little boring. The dialogue was kind of slow. But they went into a tissue factory, and Melvin just did not like tissues, which made him grow more and more and more. But then, when he was defeated by Sulu, which, by the way, Captain Underpants was, defeated, I think probably early on in the book. What I don't like about these books is that they get rid of Captain Underpants so fast. But, no, they don't get rid of Captain Underpants that fast. He stays, and then he goes back into his corrupt self. His parents did play a little bit of a role by reversing the Combinatron 2000, which sets up the events for Part 2. So, that was number 10. On to number 9. Number 9. Captain Underpants and the Wrath of the Wicked Wedgie Woman. Now, I'm not putting this lower, but no, this was not because this was the original book I read when I was a kid. The first one, actually. What I did not really like, well, they try to do something fresh by adding George and Harold as robots to replace the other ones because, well, yes, I did like that this focused a little bit on Miss Ribble, but she was not really a letdown. She was, I didn't really know what to think of the 5th book. They gave it some creative, but they did put a hole in the page, if you guys remember, where Robo Harold, which also is a foreshadowing later for something else. Because when Rebel Harold kicked that ball, oh boy, it gets really interesting in the later books. And it's a crossover between another book, which I'm going to talk about later, if I'm hyping you guys up for this. What I did find pretty cool was that Captain Underpants was saying, I summoned the power of Underpanty World, and he got his powers back. And apparently, the spray depowered him, so he did not have any powers anymore. He was weak, which I gotta take it. That's a cool idea. And then he summons the power of Underpanty World and gets his powers back and beats up Miss Ribble. Now, what I do like is that they try to reverse it, and it makes women do the opposite of what they're supposed to do. So I like the whole reverse game changing the thing, reversing, saying that she's going to stay evil and not be our teacher, and she'll bake us cookies, and she will not bake them cookies. Sorry. Now, that's it for Miss Ribble's ending, but she was not really used because we already did her backstory. But all in all, solid book. And that's it for number 9. On to number 8. Number 8. The invasion of the incredibly naughty cafeteria ladies from outer space and the subsequent assault of the equally evil lunchroom zombie nerds. That is a pretty long title considering to a third book. What I didn't really like about it is that they try to repeat what the talking toilets did. They tried adding new characters, but with the zombie nerds, and the zombie nerds are basically the talking toilets, and the dandelion is basically the Turbo Toilet 2000, except it has teeth. That's what they tried to repeat doing in the second book, but also it includes the origin story of how Captain Underpants got his powers. You see, Harold and George and Captain Underpants were trapped on the ship by Zorx, Clax, and Jennifer. And apparently, Captain Underpants got his powers from a superpower juice that he drank when George gave him that, because there was a carton of stuff in the alien's fridge. And that's how he got the superpowers. That's a pretty cool backstory. But considering to a third book, yeah, they tried to repeat it with the dandelion, but who cares? They try to add Miss Ribble as the comic relief character, but also the damsel in distress for a little bit. But who cares? It's the third book. So, that's it for number 8. On to number 7. Number 7. The Adventures of Captain Underpants. I know what you're thinking. Oh, come on. You put the original as the 7th? Yes, because it's very different from the other books that we got. It has a pretty simple yet very different story. It introduces the characters George and Harold and what their personalities are and what they're like. And it also introduces Mr. Krupp, and his goal is to catch George and Harold doing a prank, and he has proof. But they also introduced Melvin in the second book, or was it in the third book? I don't know. But I'm not saying that this was bad, but because it's the original, this was very different compared to the other books that we got, so I can easily understand. And that's it for number 7. On to number 6. Number 6, Captain Underpants and the Perilous Plot of Professor Poopy Pants. Now, I felt this one was not a letdown or anything, but it was a little bit boring with the names and everything, because I kind of didn't really get used to Fluffy Toilet Nose and Sir Cheese Ball Waffle Fanny. That I was a little bit bored with. But they also try to give Professor Poopy Pants a tragic backstory. You see, he originally came from Switzerland, which every single name was basically laughed at, and it was just the most ridiculous, silliest name they can come up with. And in America, people thought that Professor Pippy P. Poopy Pants was basically the funniest name they've ever heard of. But apparently he came from Switzerland, so I can understand where he's coming from, but he didn't have to go all full psychopath and just take over the world just because some people don't know how to respect his name. There are people who respect his name. There are people who respect him as a person. Don't judge a book by their covers and by their names and their skin or anything like that. Judge them for their personality and their character, which is a pretty good moral. But he also changed his name to Tippy Tinkle Trousers in the ending. So that's how we got the villain we know today. So, that's it for number 6. On to number 5. The top 5, people. And this was very difficult to get. So, be prepared for number 5. Number 5, the attack of the talking toilets. Now, what I think about the talking toilets, I think these are the classic villains in the franchise. Also, I just want to be clarified that in the movie, they had the invention convention, so it was really clever from them to add it from the second book, which George and Harold got basically every single, like, people in the school pretty much, the whole fiasco thing goes wrong. And then they change it into Captain Underpants and all that. But basically, the talking toilets, they did last a little long. They ate pretty much everyone in. Also, their iconic line, "Yum yum, eat 'em up," which is a pretty good line, which they did at the end of the movie, which I'm hoping that they add someone else as the villain. If they do a sequel to Captain Underpants, I hope to God that it is going to have one of my favorite all-time Captain Underpants villains come into play. And it's going to be amazing if they do. I'm going to praise the second movie for adding this villain. And you'll see why. Number 4, the sensational saga of Sir Stinks-a-Lot, the final book in the series. I thought this was pretty solid. What I didn't really like is that they gave him a second chance. They gave him a second form. He went from the Stinky Kong 2000, which I thought that the machine and his design of the Stinky Kong 2000 was cool because he sprayed armpits. I like that he sprayed like stink from his armpits because armpits stink, which I get it. But they also turned him into a knockoff Slimer, which I didn't really like. But he also could defeat Captain Underpants very easily, which is pretty menacing because in the Revolting Revenge of the Radioactive Robo-Boxers, Tippy Tinkle Trousers knows how to defeat Captain Underpants. He puts water, so a lot of the villains think that Captain Underpants is very weak when he's actually not. If they don't think that water attacks him, then no, they don't. They're not going to know how to defeat Captain Underpants. But also, the ending for the original George and the original Harold, they become time travelers. And what I find unique is that they defeat Sir Stinks-a-Lot in their adult forms, which also involves Harold being gay, which I don't have a problem with. So, yeah, basically, the original George and the original Harold, they're actually like diagnosed with ADHD. Which is heartwarming, but also I can understand why these guys are so sweet. It's really, really cool. I love those two guys, even though they can get into a lot of trouble. They mess with time travel, which can literally like destroy the entire universe as we know it. And it's going to kill pretty much everyone. But I did like the ending because Yesterday George and Yesterday Harold, as a kid, I thought were the original George and the original Harold. No, they were the duplicates, which I find pretty wholesome. So that's it for number 4. On to number 3. Number 3, the tyrannical retaliation of the Turbo Toilet 2000, which I'm proud to say because when I was a kid and back when I was an adult, I was ready to shit on this book. No, this is a very fresh plot. A very good break from the Radioactive Robo-Boxers book. I find that pretty good because surprisingly, it was good. They did add Melvin a little bit, which thank God that they did not add Melvin at all. Because if he did, man, would he just ruin the entire book and he would just be the main villain. No, he was not. He uses his time-traveling Robo Squid, which I thought was pretty unique and actually fresh. But I liked his design though. So basically, what George and Harold originally wanted to do was go back in time to change their grades, but now they were stuck in the duplicate universe. So that sets up for Sir Stinks-a-Lot, which drives pretty much everyone crazy in the Turbo Toilet 2000. Now the Turbo Toilet 2000 comes back because the Robo Plunger guy from the second book, he got his head knocked off from the ball from the Wrath of the Wicked Wedgie Woman when Robo Hera kicked the ball and it literally decapitated the Robo Plunger, and that's how the Turbo Toilet 2000 came back to life. It's because of the juice from the Robo Plunger, and then he tried to get his revenge. I loved like the Turbo Toilet 2000's like return. He played a much bigger role in this one, which I find really good. And that's it for number 3. On to number 2. I am so excited for these two. Number 2, The Preposterous Plight of the Purple Potty People. This is a really, really good book. The only thing that is disappointing is the old people, Boxer Boy and Great Granny Girl, which I find to be quite a little bit disappointing, and I felt like they shouldn't be used at all. But my all-time favorite villain in the entire Captain Underpants franchise was Captain Blunderpants and Evil George and Evil Harold. Those guys are from an alternate universe and are more eviler than ever could imagine. And Captain Underpants was about to face his demons. It was all about facing demons. That's what I love about this. Even though they used time traveling, but they also time traveled to an alternate universe, which I thought was really well done, really good, really clever. It was so good. Captain Blunderpants had so much aura. Not really wasted aura, but he was really, really cool and kind of menacing. But also Sulu turned into a monster. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's all I have to say about number 2. I'm proud to say that is one of the best books I've ever read. Now on to the number 1 best Captain Underpants book in the entire franchise, in my opinion. Now the number 1 best book, The Terrifying Return of Tippy Tinkle Trousers. Holy crap, this was really good. This was a sequel to The Purple Potty People, which I thought was really cool. They try to set up with the new Robo Pants and the Freezy Beam 4000, which I thought was really cool for Tippy Tinkle Trousers to use. And you'll see that his name came from the 4th book. And so he came back in the 9th book. And it shows what originally was supposed to happen, the backstory of George and Harold. Harold was this outcast who was bullied by the nephew of Mr. Crump, which I thought he was really cool. But then George, who was the rebellious one, stood up to Harold, and became best friends. And they pranked the bullies with Wedgie Maggie. I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I am. But this was a good book. And when Tippy came to the timeline that originally confirmed that George and Harold were friends, that caused the bullies to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And unfortunately, if Tippy wasn't there, then Mr. Crump would have been Captain Underpants. But if he was there, Captain Underpants would have never existed, and the whole world would have gone to shit. And that's why Tippy Tinkle Trousers was like, oh my god, I gotta go save Captain Underpants. And then he almost died to the giant evil zombie nerds. So that's I have to say that this was the best book in the franchise, god damn it. This was a brilliant book. I loved it. It was so interesting. Yes, it is long, but it is so interesting. And also, Harold's parents are divorced, so that's pretty sad for him. But, guys, this was the top 12 Captain Underpants books of the franchise. I enjoy these books, even though sometimes they were a bit boring. But all in all, these were really good, and I'm glad that I visited them today. Also, back to our story. Oh, BFK! It's the 4th of July out here, and it's quite a crowd tonight, huh? Open the door, you big son of a bitch! The fireworks are out, huh? How about I get you with your door hang? I'll shoot your dog! Bring him out, or we'll bring him out ourselves! Sir, how much longer and time will they show up? Keep your voice down. They're having a meeting with the president. You know, sir, if I was in the same position as you, I would have asked the same question. What would JFK do? You kidding me? Those people out there, they want me dead. They don't want to have any trouble with me. They don't want anything from me. And it's Twitter. Out there, it's Twitter. It's Elon Musk's evil people. And they're trying to kill me. I should have been dead, just like my father. I'm a terrible president. You're never a bad president, sir. No. It's okay, Doc Man. Let them come. Also, if you see me without a tie, I'll let you know I'm about to hang myself. Twitter, you're just right about everything. I am a terrible president. Go ahead. Let them in. Dogman, stand down. Mr. President, as your advisor, I'm telling you. Listen, sir, don't do this. Without you, we don't got no country. Without a president, we don't got any country. Without any country, there is no organization and everything just falls apart. You can't blame yourself for what happened. The media is just sensitive. I think you should write or record a speech trying to work things out. It's the best advice I could give you, sir, but that's all I know. You know what? That could actually work. I don't know how I'm gonna do it though, but it is worth a shot. Daniel, get my speech ready. Good evening, America. This is your president, Benjamin F. Kennedy. Listen, tonight was definitely a night that I'll probably never forget. But this is a speech to remind people that we're still America. No matter how violent we are, no matter how messed up and fucked up this country can be, we're always going to need each other wherever we are. And we're willing to fight for our freedom. I hope and pray someday that fires and it won't be put out. If it won't be put out, it will get bigger and bigger. And the countries that had no freedom will take ours, and our own freedom will be lost. And that's what's happening with this country. Their freedom is being taken away. And I feel like Twitter is the big problem. Owned by Elon Musk. And some of you people in Twitter have raged over me. And it's become unbearably ridiculous. But as the President of the United States of America, I sincerely conclude that all people are equal, including LGBTQ, the transsexual people, pansexual, bisexual, whatever sexuality. And this is the message to the LGBTQ community. We will do our best to make you fit in this country more than ever. We apologize for this terrible outburst we've been having. This is just not how our country should go. And I think that we can rebuild it after the violation of Donald Trump and people not trusting me, thinking I'm the next Jeffrey Epstein or Diddy. No, I'm none of those people. I'm John F. Kennedy's son, and I will fix it just like my father tried. I will follow my father's footsteps. Thank you, America, and happy 4th of July. God bless America.